Hi friends, welcome back. It is so good to be doing a video today. It's been a while. So if you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the channel. So today I want to give you a pattern review and a fabric review of a Minerva sponsored kit. And I'm really excited to share with you what I have been sewing. So this is the Simplicity S8910. It comes in two groups of sizes. The size that was sent to me was the 14 to 22, and I sewed a size 20. So that size is relatively on the larger side for me. It's a 46-inch for the bust. So that's like somewhere in between 4 to 6 inches of ease. So as I was looking at the pattern on the model, it does have a looser silhouette. And so I was thinking maybe I should select that size so that I can get a looser silhouette. And to be honest with you, I didn't want to do like a series of mock-ups. And so I decided to just do one mock-up, and I did a mock-up in a cotton muslin fabric. And so that 46 felt like it was going to give me quite a bit of room for ease. And so I went with that. Having that in mind, I also was thinking about the fabric that I was sewing with, which is a viscose challis fabric, which has a little bit more drape than your standard cotton muslin fabrics. And so I went into the project knowing that it was going to be probably a little bit looser than my mock-up, and I was okay with that. But I just want to say from the beginning of the video that if you are going to use a viscose or any type of challis or drapey fabric or silky type fabric, just keep that in mind when you're doing your mock-up. If you're using a cotton fabric, that cotton tends to be a little bit more stiffer than your viscose, and so you will get a little bit more give with your viscose fabrics. So I definitely could have gone down to the size of 18, which is a 44-inch for the bust, and I would definitely do that next time. This one has a little bit more of a looser fit, and I do like that for the summer. I was thinking about what I want to wear in the summer. I don't want anything too close fitting, and so that's why I went with the 46. If you want something that's a little bit more semi-fitted or even fitted, I would say make sure you choose a size that is going to accommodate that for you. So the features of the pattern, it is a pattern that come with 3 different variations or views. You have this beautiful dress, view A, that features a sleeveless variation. You do get a bias binding pattern for that. So you will cut out a piece of bias tape so that you can actually bind your sleeves so that the raw edges of your sleeves will be finished. You also get another bias binding pattern for your neckline. The pattern also features 2 front vertical bust darts. You don't have any side bust darts, which is really nice. You don't have to worry about that. You get these very large oversized pockets, and the pocket also has a pocket facing, so you will see part of your pocket on the outside of your garment. You do have bias binding that you're creating for your pocket facing and your pocket as well. The pattern for view A, you have a very long maxi dress, whereas with views B and C, you have view B is a midi style dress, view C is a knee length, and I think view D is more of like a mini dress, and then views C and B, those are your midi and your knee length options. You do have pleats on the garment in the front as well as the back. As far as pleats go, I really thought that this was going to be one of those patterns that was going to frustrate me, because usually when I do any patterns that have pleats in it, sometimes the pleats are inaccurate and you have to customize or accommodate your project based on whether or not the pleats are accurate. In this particular pattern, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, the pleats are really great. They're straightforward, and you're not going to have any problems with that. In terms of views, the other views, you do have a long sleeve option. So for view C, that's your long sleeve. option that has you get a pattern to finish off the lower edge of your sleeve with a binding as well. For view D, that's another sleeveless option, but it has ties that you can fashion at the shoulder, which is really nice. And then you do have a shorter sleeve as well that you can choose to create this project with. The pattern features an empire waistline, so it's very high in the front. Your waistline rests right underneath your bust in the front, and it dips quite low in the back. In terms of the waistline, I found that in the front, it was right underneath my bust area, which is not uncommon when I'm doing empire waistlines. I usually have to lengthen the front because I have a CD cup. And so my bust tends to raise that empire waistline up. So I did drop that waistline in the front about, I would say 1 inch, I believe. Let me look at my notes. 1 inch is what I did for my front. Having that said, in the back, because I accommodated that for the front, the back, the way in which I did my adjustment, I lengthened the empire waistline between the shortest points of the front of the garment. And then I just tapered off on the side so that I did not have to mess with the back, because the back waistline, as you will see, is already quite low. And so I did not want to lengthen the back of the garment. So just keep that in mind as well when you're going into the project, that the back garment, the back bodice is quite low already. You might want to do accommodations to raise that. I did not do that. In the future, if I make this pattern again, I would definitely raise the back waistline, because it dips just right at the small of my back. So I would definitely raise that. So yeah, I chose variation B. This is the midi length. I did not do anything with the skirt in terms of like shortening or lengthening the skirt. And so what you see in my pictures, that's the true to size right out of the envelope in terms of the length, and the size that you see that I'm wearing, the size 20. I didn't do any other accommodations in terms of like taking in the garment or shortening the garment. I didn't do anything like that. And so the length that you see on my skirt and the size that you see is straight out of the envelope. I would like to shorten my skirt next time. Maybe I will choose the variation that's a knee length. I did like this. The reason why I chose view B is because I was working with 4 meters of fabric. That's how much fabric Minerva sent me. And so I wanted to try to use as much as that as possible. I didn't like the longer maxi variation for this type of fabric. And so that's why I chose the midi length instead. I did want to show a little bit of my legs for summer. And so that's why I chose that variation as well. In terms of the neck binding, in terms of like other modifications and adjustments that I've done, I try to use the bias binding and put that around the neckline, but it just would not lay flat. There was some gaping, and it just looked very horrible in terms of like the neckline. And so I took that off and I created facing pieces, a back and a front facing piece for my dress. The shoulder line is very, very narrow. I believe after you attach your sleeve and also your bias binding or your neck facings, the original shoulder length is somewhere between like 1.5 and 2 inches long. And that is like really, really narrow for a garment. And so if you don't make adjustments for that, your sleeve and your shoulder line will fall almost off of your shoulder a little bit, depending on how long and how narrow your shoulders are. And so I decided to increase the length of my shoulder line And instead of having it at 1.5 to 2, I believe it's either 1.5 or 2 inches, I increased it. And so my shoulder length is now about 3 to 3.5 inches long, after I put the sleeve and the neck facing on. So that's just something to keep in mind if you want a longer shoulder line and you don't want your shoulder line like resting on the ball point of your shoulder. That's something that you might have to accommodate for as well. In terms of the sleeve was very narrow. I chose I did a variation of the longer and the shorter sleeve. I just kind of shorten the longer sleeve and expand the sleeve because I needed a bicep adjustment. And instead of putting the binding on the lower edge of the sleeve, I just put elastic in the sleeve. Overall, I really did enjoy this. It was very straightforward and easy. The pattern comes with 13 pattern pieces, but I only use 8 of the pattern pieces out of the envelope, plus the 2 pattern pieces that I use to create my front and back neck facings. So a total of 10 pattern pieces I use to make this. So it's really straightforward and easy to sew. It's not hard at all. I really did enjoy this. I was concerned about the Empire waistline. The last time I made an Empire dress was the New Look pattern. That did not go so well, but that had more so to do with the fabric than the pattern. And so I was really nervous to get back into another pattern that had an Empire waistline because I had such a bad experience with the last dress that I made that had an Empire waistline. But I really do love this. As far as going forward, like what I would do, like any kind of changes that I would make, the pockets are very big and they have like some extra fabric on the lower part of the pocket. And so it kind of like scrunches up a little bit. And so I would definitely shorten the pocket at that lower edge and recreate the pocket a little bit so that it's not like folding over and bunching over. And then also, as I mentioned before, I would go down a size because I think I made this one a little bit too big for my frame. So I definitely go down a size. But other than that, I really enjoyed the pattern. I think it's a really great pattern for summer. You can also make this for winter and fall depending on what kind of fabrics you choose. The fabric suggestions are challis, chambray, cotton lawn, linen types, lightweight poplin, silky types. And yeah, so those types of fabrics you can use. And again, really great pattern. It has been out for quite some time. I'm surprised that this is my first time sewing it. I want to thank Minerva for sponsoring me the fabric as well as the pattern. As I mentioned before, it came in a kit. I'll make sure that I put my the link to my blog over on Minerva so that you can see in more detail like all the things that the kit included. And so you can either purchase the kit or you can purchase the fabric or the pattern or whatever. And I'll put that link in the description box below. And you can take advantage of reading the blog as well. So thank you all for tuning in to today's video. If you found this pattern review informative or entertaining, please make sure you give me a big thumbs up. And if this is your first time, please consider subscribing to the channel. I hope to talk to you all in the next video. Bye.